Hello, and welcome to this video entitled Best Practices in Arts Education, a Primer. My name is Jason Anderson, and I'm the Visual and Performing Arts Content Specialist at the Maine Department of Education. The primary audience for this video are non-arts educators who are building content for modules on the MOOSE platform. Topics that will be covered in this presentation are a general philosophy of arts education, an overview of the main learning results for visual and performing arts, and suggestions for incorporating visual and performing arts into your module activities. At a fundamental level, arts education is about having students engage in the artistic process. The graphic on this slide outlines that artistic process in the four major steps that students engage in. They start with the inspiration stage, where they study themes, the media, process, experience, and any guiding questions that may be connected to the lesson or the module. They then move on to the design phase where they plan, research, sketch, experiment. They may create a visual journal, a mind map, a model, or even a brainstorm. What they create in that design step moves them to the creation phase where they produce work, reflect on that work, and revise that work. And that leads them to the final phase, the reflection and presentation. This is where they'll critique, discuss, revise, present, and respond on their work again. Following this graphic will help you and your target audience achieve a quality arts education experience within your module. Another way to look at creating quality arts education experiences for your target audience is to imagine the activity is in service to a student's creativity development and not to simply communicate or display their work from another content area. Note the photo on this slide. Making a poster to explain why humans should care about biodiversity? Very interesting, but not inherently an arts learning experience. Can making a poster project be an arts learning experience? Absolutely. If you consider the graphic from the previous slide, over the artistic creative experience for students, as well as using the standards in the main learning results, you can help guide students to have an arts learning experience through a poster project or similar types of activities. All students deserve the opportunity to explore their artistic selves. By encouraging them to use the artistic thinking process when they're engaging in your planned activity, you can maximize the learning opportunity, and you can kickstart their brains to think creatively about everything that they're doing within the module, not just the arts task. Now I'll guide you through the main learning results for visual and performing arts. They're divided into 5 strands. Those strands are disciplinary literacy, creation, performance, and expression, creative problem solving, aesthetics and criticism, and visual and performing arts connections. The following slides will guide you through how to interpret the text contained within each of those strands. Strand A, titled Disciplinary Literacy, is divided into sections by discipline. Those disciplines are dance, music, theater, and visual arts. This strand addresses the variety of different literacy benchmarks that students should explore and develop as an artist. This helps them develop the vocabulary and lexicon of an artist so they can communicate properly with others regarding art. Although there is no glossary for the terms contained therein, specifically the terms that are listed in blue, many of the terms have universal definitions when it comes to the arts and arts education. Always feel free to reach out and ask a colleague arts educator if you ever get confused. Strand B, titled Creation, Performance, and Expression, is also divided by discipline and deals with the components that students need to understand in order to make art, whether it's an original piece or a recreation, duplication of an existing piece. This technique is sometimes a great educational tool that students are learning about the history of a particular art form or style. They may recreate or duplicate a piece. When possible, aim to create activities that have students creating original ideas from inspirations contained within the module. Strand C, titled Creative Problem Solving, governs all disciplines within the content area and are quite self-explanatory. They address the need for students to develop facility with the creative problem-solving process. That process would be identifying a problem, defining a problem, generating a variety of solutions to that problem, implementing those solutions, and then evaluating those solutions and their effectiveness. Strand D, titled Aesthetics and Criticism, deals with how students are trained to see art for the purposes of both understanding others' art and improving on their own art. These processes are best guided through a critique lens. There are many fine critique rubrics available on the internet, but again, if you're ever in doubt, ask a colleague arts educator or reach out to me here at the Department of Education. Finally, Strand E, titled Visual and Performing Arts Connections, is intended to give students opportunities to understand the following key principles: the interconnectedness of art, history, and world culture, the interconnectedness between the arts disciplines, that would be, for example, between music and visual art and theater, visual art and dance, theater and music, etc. The concept of goal setting as an artist, the impact of the arts on lifestyle and career, that is, how the arts and or being an artist affects society, and finally, the importance of developing interpersonal skills. This standard is usually the easiest for which non-arts educators can make connections to non-arts activities, but remember that the point is to have students approach these principles from an artist perspective. Do your best to engage students in making real artistically minded connections and avoid having them make cursory or correlational connections that may not have anything to do with the development of the style, genre, or technique. In summary, the more you can engage students in creating art using appropriate and authentic strategies, invite them to reflect about their creations, that includes both in writing and talking, and challenge them to consider what the purpose of their art and the artworks of others is. You'll find that students gain more value from the experience overall. And don't forget, art can exist for its own sake. Strategies for incorporating arts learning with fidelity. And although this can be taken as an affront to good teaching in general, applying the words with fidelity is simply meant to remind non-arts educators that the artistic development of a student may not occur simply because art is present. Inquiry learning is a great strategy to employ when you're asking students to think as an artist in order to address a problem or a question. Encouraging students to connect and reflect are also very effective strategies to help students connect their creations to the essential questions that may be contained within your lesson or module. Finally, initiating discussions with your arts education colleagues is a great way to gain insight into whether a task you've set forth for students has enough muscle to sustain itself. Frequently, arts educators want to discuss these strategies that boost creative and artistic thinking in all students, in all situations. So again, I encourage you to reach out to your colleague arts educators within your building or district and have these conversations with them. Share with them what you're thinking about having students do, and see if you can get feedback to revise and make those experiences better for your students. Should you have any questions as you're developing content for your module, feel free to reach out to me here at the Maine Department of Education. My email address and telephone number are listed on this final slide. I wish you the best as you create some great arts learning experiences within the content of your module.